Chairman, we're ready to go.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience, folks. I apologize. Where were we here? I need a motion to return to public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? We have returned to public hearing in connection with the alleyway closure request. Mr. Bishop?
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second, please. This will look familiar to the Plan Commission. This request was heard previously. The applicant has made a new request. The difference in the dimensions of the alley closing is 5 feet. If you will notice on the drawing to the southeast, southwest corner, you'll notice a dimension that says 5 feet. That is the difference of the alley closing request. The width dimension is the same. It's the length dimension that has been decreased by 5 feet. With that, I'll do my best to answer any questions that you may have.
How's this changing?
The change is that the alley request, the length is being decreased by 5. So theoretically, well, actually, the length should have been 150 or 156. Now it's 151 based on the survey provided. Mr. Chairman, if you see where Teresa has the mouse.
So was what we looked at last time that was inaccurate somehow?
No, it is not. That is not the case. If you remember, the city attorney suggested that the alley closing could be shortened so that that shared property corner was not there. So this is reflecting that suggestion from the city attorney.
I still don't understand how it changed anything. Counselor?
The change of not touching another property allows the city, if it chooses to close the alley without going to court, without filing a suit against a property owner. Doesn't mean they will, it means they can.
Okay.
And it doesn't change that they've sent it to the Planning Commission for the Planning Commission to look at the case as a whole and make a recommendation to either close it or not close it.
Okay. Thank you.
Am I correct, though? The city could have took up, where we denied recommendation last month, the city could have took it up themselves and held the public hearing and made the decision themselves. Am I correct?
No, they could not have, because they had at least one property owner. Well, they only had one property owner that had the right to object. And if that property owner objected and that did not consent, it would force the city to file a lawsuit, a condemnation type lawsuit. And as it is, they do not have to file suit. They have the jurisdiction to consider it, and they've asked the Planning Commission to recommend either to close it or not close it.
So the city,
And yes, they could have taken it up, but they would have had to file a suit.
the city did not consider our last recommendation. They did not take it up.
I don't know.
If my memory's correct, and I'm not a legal counsel, but I think the city attorney said, well, we can have them make a change in the distance so it don't touch another property owner, and then they couldn't have a real complaint, correct? Something similar. to
Well,
that.
they can still have a complaint, but it doesn't require the city to file a suit. And as it was, the city was, the only way they could close the alley was to file a suit.
Okay.
So the church has now put the city in the position to where they can close it. Doesn't mean they will.
Very good.
And I'm not disagreeing. I think what you said, Zach.
Very good. So I think we'll start, as we usually do, seeking input from those who might be in favor of this alley closure, especially if they have an attorney present. We'll start with that. Okay. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this alley closure?
The closing, you said? No. Foreclosing.
Is there someone here who'd like to speak in favor of closing the alley? Good. Your name, sir?
Glenn Powell,
Okay, and your address?
4151 State Highway 416, Roberts.
Okay, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Very good, thank you.
As some of you all already know me, and what I've done in the past is school bus safety. I was over the school system for a number of years, and safety was always one of our things. Whenever we have a area like this where children are going from the church over to a playground and they have to go through an alleyway there, there's always a chance, God forbid, that somebody would come off of Maple Street or come off of Garfield there in a run and not even know that that church is there and make a right-hand turn there towards the church, and kids was out in that area. We hope that something like that never happens, but we know that things like that do happen. It's happened everywhere we go. People drops bombs in places, people goes in schools and shoots anymore, and such things as that. All we want to do is make this the safest area for our children to go to school there and be safe while they're there. For closing this alley would help that. They could join these properties together and it would be all one property that way, and the alley would be gone so that nobody could go through there. And I think that there's what we're all interested in, is school children's safety. And for that reason, I'd like to see that alley closed.
Thank you, sir. Do you have any questions for this gentleman? Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the closure?
My name is Arthur Fergine. I'm from Roberts, Kentucky, 13995 US Highway 41 South.
Good.
I'm a member of, I'm a county resident. I think we need to.
Excuse me, sir.
What?
You need to I need to ask you, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please proceed.
I've been in I'm a retired Army, United States Army, and I've been in a leadership position most of my life. And decisions I made saved people's lives, or they lost their lives. I've served several tours to Vietnam. Coming to the closure of the alley, we have many, many kids in the school there that go to recess, and they have, at many times they have 20 or 30 kids out there. We have 2 supervisors out there. There's a 178-foot of alley that someone could come down before the school and get speed up and run some of our children over. 25, 35 years ago, we would never have thought of anything like that. But today, people have bombs when they're having parades. People drive up and down the road and run over motorcycle people and bicyclists. Our main objective is the safety of our children. And I think the decisions that this board makes, well, we'll abide by it, and we'll obey by it, and we'll be, as citizens, we are called by God to obey whatever structure we have. And we know if we didn't have these boards and stuff, people would run rapid and do whatever they want to do. But our children are very important. Henderson County, Davis County, state of Kentucky, the government, we spend a lot of money protecting our children. And the decisions we make here today might save lives. And I think it's real important that we think about what decision we make here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Anybody have any questions for me?
I have a question. Sir, both you and the prior gentleman, are you primarily concerned about malicious acts of people in the alley?
I'm concerned about the safety of the children in any way, shape, or form. I always have in the back of my mind that people, some people want to use guns, some people use their automobiles. I'm just interested in the safety of the children, and not exactly malicious acts, but just the safety of the children in the home. Anything else, sir?
No, it's just that you both emphasized, it sounded to me like malicious acts, and I'm not sure that closing the
I just
alley
brought that point up
addresses
that the
that.
people, we have a lot of copycats in this world today. You see people, one guy drives down the sidewalk and runs people over, another guy runs into a crowd. Over in Germany, they have a Christmas fest, and somebody just drives down through the fest and runs people over. People, I don't know what principles and morals people have today. That when I was in the Army in the early 60s and 70s, we had classes on principles and morals in governments, why we form governments, why we have police departments, why we have fire departments. It's for structure, where we have control over the people. The same as this board right here. If you didn't have this board, people would just build a building wherever they want, and they would just do whatever they want. So we come to you and with a request, and whatever you decide, we're going to abide by it, and we're going to be thankful that you're here making those decisions. All I have to say.
I don't believe that mine is all somebody gonna come in there and shoot somebody, or
Mr.
somebody gonna
Pat.
drop a bomb in there.
Come to the mic, please.
My big thing is that's a wide open drive-through there, and inattention is what I see as a farther out in the county. People are unattended, don't pay attention to what's going on around them, and they come through there. Well, there's not been any kids here for the last 5 times I've been through this location, but today there is. And then they're doing something on their cell phone or something. Those kind of things is what my main thing is stop it from being able to happen through that area. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it.
Anyone else here would like to speak in favor of this closure? Your name, sir?
Charles Cameron, 954 Trail Drive.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I'm in favor of this extension for this school, because this school not only has young people, they have preschool, they have kindergarten, they have young children that are growing in the knowledge. The other property owners in that area, there is an L-shaped alley that will attend their needs of getting in and out of their property. So this strip would allow this church to expand, to allow more children to come and have loving, caring, and intelligent teachers that will help the city of Henderson grow into the type of community it has been growing in for the last several years. And that's my recommendation, is they close that alley.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Any question? Thank you. Someone else would like to speak?
My name is Bill Robertson. I live at 29 Maple Street, Henderson, Kentucky.
Okay. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Thank you.
I have lived in this residence at one time for 10 years, and then we moved back here about a year and a half ago. We live 4 houses up from the church. I am a member of Christian Life Church, and on that, I live on the corner from where this alley is. The alley cuts right behind my house. I have a neighbor that lives next to me that she uses that alley when she backs out to take her son to school. She doesn't go down past the church to go to McKinney Street. She comes up through Maple Street, comes up that street up to Maple Street and turns. The garbage truck, when the garbage truck comes in to pick up trash along that alley, it doesn't use that alley, that portion of alley there by the church. It comes down either from Garfield, comes up to Maple, right behind the church where we're wanting to close this off at. as it's been said many a times, that the children are a concern. We live there. There is a stop sign right in front of our house, a four-way stop. And a lot of times, cars come down there so fast that they don't even stop at that stop sign. So what if somebody came down that alley and did the same? What if somebody came off of McKinley Street, came in there to that alley so fast that they didn't see the kids playing? It is a very safety issue. As I've said before, if the garbage truck can use the alley from Garfield going up to Maple, I'm sure anybody else can too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am, please.
Hi, my name is Melinda Harris. I'm at 3126 Braxton Park here in Henderson.
Good. You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, ma'am?
Yes, I do, sir.
Thank you.
I'm a mother of a 13-year-old that I adopted when she was a baby. We have her attending the school. We are members of the church, but we also attend the school. And I think that's imperative for everybody to realize this is not just a church. They have school there from preschool all the way through to seniors. We've done a lot of different activities there, and I actually witnessed a little boy almost get run over. We were having a hayride. It was my job, like a lot of the teachers do during the day, to stand at one corner. So that's what I did. So everybody knew this truck and trailer was coming. But this little fella, about 8 years old, he took off running. And he came so close to getting hit. And that would have been with well, it was actually my son, pulling his tractor, or his truck, I meant to say, and his wagon. I think about how horrific that would have been. That if anybody would pull through there and cause a child to be injured. We all are concerned about people coming in and doing physical damage such as guns and bombs and knives. You know, there are things that we can do to protect our children. And one of those things that I strongly recommend is to consolidate the properties that belong to the school church, to consolidate that so that there will not be a driveway through there for my son or for anyone else. I can also say I've been out there many times and I have never seen a car go through there that it was not speeding. It's just like, you know, I'm trying to hurry and get past this train over there on Washington, and they come zip through there. It's an accident waiting to happen. And I know when that happens, you know, we're looking at the church having legal issues. We're looking at the person that's driving the vehicle having legal issues. And we're also looking at the city, since we have brought it to y'all's attention, that because we all know this is a problem, we know that our kids are going to be hurt sooner or later, because my little 13-year-old, she has a real hard time paying attention, which a lot of kids do. And they take off running. They're chasing a friend. They're doing something. And it's going to cause a problem. And it scares me that it's going to cause a death. We have the opportunity to not let something like that happen. And I strongly recommend that we do that. But I also wanted to tell y'all, I brought pictures so you all could see that it's not just an alley and two pieces of property. There's the alley, and on one side is the school, and on the other side is the playground. Now, this didn't used to be a problem, but there was only 15, 20 kids, but right now I think there's 68 children, and we've got 30 in line wanting to come. So unless we could figure out more room, we're not going to be able to accommodate those kids, but that's not the problem. The problem is these kids are going to get hurt. Or somebody's going to fly through there and hurt one of our staff because they sit there, their little bodies sit there when these cars come flying in. So I don't know if you're interested in seeing my pictures, if you could see the playground.
Ma'am, just if you enter those into the record, we have to keep them, just so you know.
Oh, Well, you can keep them, I don't care.
Well,
Do I walk up there?
Would you mind giving them to Heather, please?
Because I think it's imperative that we all realize that we've got a unique opportunity here, that we can save our kids, to help our kids, and to ensure they don't have an injury or a problem, at least not in that area. Yeah, we may have guns and knives that come to school. We have to protect that too. But here's a protection that we all have in our hands to prevent. Thank you.
Thank you,
Oh,
ma'am.
have any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am. That 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, with the
Yes.
kids there.
Yes. During, even in the summer, they go through June for summer school. And actually, we're saying 5 days a week. There's actually at least 6 days a week. Because in the evenings, on Saturdays, we have things going on. And Saturday evenings, we have youth. That is part of the church, but the kids that go to the church more often go to the same school because they become sort of inclined to their friends. So, and I have to add that school gets absolutely zero financial assistance from federal government, local government, state government. We pay our teachers or our school taxes just like everybody else. But yeah, we have to pay for our kids to go there, and we pack our kids' lunches, we pay for uniforms, we take our kids there, and we pick them up.
So you said the total enrollment is 6 to 8 kids?
68 children at this moment, I think. I think that's,
Now, what grade? The kindergarten?
they're
or
preschool.
Pre?
Miss Carmen back here, she, the pastor's wife, she is a preschool. I think age 3, on up through seniors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anyone else like to speak?
My name is Renee Ford. I reside at 918 Trail Drive here in Henderson.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name, please?
Renee Ford.
Thank you.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, I work at the school. I am working with the little guys. I'm out there at the playground, me and the other teacher, and one sits on one side, one sits on the other. And we got kids, they just run all over. I've got, I'm in a class with kindergartners and first graders. And, you know, when they're out there running, they're not paying attention, they're just running. At one occasion, it's been in the past, but a car come off of McKinley, flying up the alley, all the way up the alley. I mean, just flying. And if any of the kids had been in that alley, would got hit. I mean, I'm like Melinda. We need to take care of our kids, the safety of our children. I've got 2 grandchildren there, and I've got nieces and nephews and cousins, but I don't want to see any kid get hit. So I pray that y'all would do the right thing and close that alleyway on the safety of our children.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, again, say if we close it, did the church plan on putting the fence up where people cannot come through that alley?
That's going to have to be asked by our pastor back there. I can't say anything about that, I don't know. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
My name is Mark Carter, 8061 Old US 60 East, Fossville. I'm the pastor of the church. Yes, we would like to put a fence across. And I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
Is that what you need? My dad started the church when I was 10, and so it's been there 47 years. We've been a part of the East End. I received word from an elected city official that maybe we should just relocate. And that was hurtful in a way because we've been there 47 years. And the reasoning was, well, you've grown and you should just relocate. And I'm assuming that he was misquoted or just misunderstood, because my opinion is on the east end of Henderson that we want improvement, and we want people who care and people who are making a difference. In the 46 years that we've been there, our church has grown. Dad started the church with 5. It was Mom and Dad, my brother and sister, and me. I said Dad did the preaching, Mom played the piano, and us kids did the cleaning. And so we've grown. We run about 100. I think we had 110 on Sunday morning. And the school has grown. We started with about 13 kids. We've got a few more. We've got all we can have. We're full. But we've grown to the place where we can make a difference, where we can help, I feel like, the east end of Henderson. We support the Harbor House. Every month we financially support them. We have members of our church who have a service there every Thursday night. In fact, when the shooting happened at Harbor House, the service had just closed and our members had just left 2 minutes before that shooting. This past Thanksgiving, Pastor Connie Beck, who pastors there at Harbor House, she brought the entire Harbor House to our church on the Sunday before Thanksgiving. We had Thanksgiving dinner for them. They were back on Christmas Sunday, which was on a Sunday, and we served them that day as well. Salvation Army, our school, has for many years been the #1 can collecting school for the Salvation Army. Every year for several years. This past year we collected 9,000 canned goods. We beat the Henderson County High School, the middle schools, all of them. We do that every year. I've got the plaques at school to prove it. We support them every month. There's a deal called the East End Community Table. I don't know if you know about that, but that takes place at the Bennett Memorial Methodist Church. They feed the East End every Thursday evening. They feed them supper every Thursday. Our church does that the 4th Thursday of every month, and have now for several years. So we're not trying to be mean or hateful or inconvenient. If you allow us to close just the portion of the alley that runs through our property, that's all we wish to do. Not even the whole part of that. Just the portion that runs through our property. The neighbors can still do everything that they've always done, maybe a little different. They may have to use a different entrance. We're the ones that won't get to continue like we're going. We're trying to fulfill, I don't want to move. The East End is our heart. We don't want to relocate. But we have to grow. That's just part of the process. You know, I've heard ever since I was a little boy, Henderson doesn't want to grow. That's why Evansville and Owensboro, we sit in the middle and they grow, and I don't believe that, and I don't want to believe that. I believe that it's okay if we grow. And so we have grown some. And maybe the time will come we have to relocate. But as of right now, all we're asking is that you allow us to close the portion of the alley that goes up through the property that we own. It will allow us to connect our properties. We can't. That's the city's rule. They will not allow us to do it with an alley running through it. The only way we can do it is to close the alley. And then, you know, it would also allow us to keep our kids safer as well. Yes, we will put up a fence. There's your answer.
Would there be fences at both ends, on the street side and the gate or something? Or?
Perhaps, you know, we haven't got that far. We'll have to have right now, our parking lot empties into that alley and goes out onto McKinley. That's how the church folks lead church on Sunday morning, is they go out our parking lot and into the alley and then out onto the street. That's why we gravel the alley. We pay for the gravel. We have maintained it. It's the most well-maintained part of the alley because we do it. You know, we keep the grass mowed and the bushes trimmed back and the gravel on the alley, but we have bought the 2 pieces of property in between the church and McKinley. The house next to us we bought, and those people come to our church. The people on the corner of Roosevelt and McKinley, we bought that house. They sent their granddaughter to our school. The property right behind the alley, on the other side of the alley on McKinley, the gentleman that lived there, he came to our church until he died. The people in the next property, I just preached their son's funeral last summer when he passed. We have another family that lives on the alley who send their son to our school, the McDonald's. They live on the alley as well. So we have a good relationship with our neighbors and hope to continue to have that with the ones that would like for us to close, or not to close it, but it's just part of being a church. I mean, I guess we could have stayed 20 people in our church and everything would have been fine, but we're reaching people. That's why they want to come. We're helping people. We're helping the community. We're trying to make a difference in the East End. And so we just ask that you will help us to continue to do that.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the pastor? Thank you very much.
Thank
sir.
you.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of the closure of this alley?
Sarah Workman, 2495 Terrace Court, Henderson, Kentucky.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much.
I'm a parent. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I also plan to send my 9-month-old once he turns of age to go. I want to keep my kids safe. 3 years ago, I lost my dad in a car accident, and he was at a stoplight. The speed limit was only 35. He had a seatbelt on. I'm just trying to say that accidents happen. It doesn't matter if you're in a car or kids playing. Accidents happen, so I want the alley to be closed.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in favor of the proposal?
I'm Tiffany Parrish. My address is 10450 Highway 41A. I just wanted to come up and speak as a mom. Sorry?
Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
Very good.
Just wanted to speak as a mama. I've got a 13-year-old that goes there, 14, sorry. And while he's able to pretty well pay attention to cars, but that playground is just so close to that alley. And there are so many little ones that go right there by the cars as they go back and forth. And we've got teachers there, but it could be a lot safer. So I just wanted to go on record just to reiterate everything that's been said. I don't have much else to say, but just to let
Thank
you
you
know.
very much. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Monday. My address is 8067 Old US Highway 60, Spotsville.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
I'm an educator at the school, and so my main concern is to make sure that all of our kiddos stay safe while they are in our care. And I'm sure if we had a poll and everyone raised their hands if they agreed, I'm sure that would be everyone's concern in this building, is that our kiddos stay safe. I do recess duty, and many times cars have driven down our alley during recess time. In fact, my class, we have had practices on when we say freeze, you freeze right where you are, because a lot of times kids don't pay attention and they're running and having fun. They've been sitting at a desk all day, and so they look forward to recess time. And so we practice saying freeze so that when the cars come in, they will do just that and freeze. My concern is that maybe one of these times one of our kiddos don't hear us say freeze when a car is coming and they just keep on running. I have been on recess duty not too long ago. It was 3 or 4 months ago, and a car came, not from the McKinley side, but the opposite side, driving very fast down our alley to where we were saying freeze to our kid. I'm not sure if the driver was on their cell phone or not, but when they finally noticed there were kids outside playing, they slammed on their brakes in the alley. And so my request is just to close that alley. Please help us keep our kiddos safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition to closing this alley? There's no one here who wants to speak? Okay.
We didn't hear you.
Okay. How about the other side of this coin? Anybody like to talk about why this alley should not be closed?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Dane Shields, 101 First Street.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir.
I do.
Thank you.
There are two sides to every coin. This is the third time that we've been here on this matter. One thing has changed since the last time we were here on February the 7th. One thing has not changed. The thing that has changed is now the alley closing is 5 feet shorter, so that the approval of a adjoining landowner is not needed. That's clever. That was suggested, legal, absolutely fine. One relevant point I'd like to bring before you is what has not changed since the last time we had this meeting. And that is the exact same reason exists today that existed on February the 7th, where this commission voted not to close the alley. And that is that this alley is documented by sworn proof that residents in the neighborhood from the beginning have used this alley for ingress and egress to their property. And the suggested alternative route of closing this alley's 1 block long, so what you're doing, you're going in and you're closing part of the alley where you can begin at one end, but you can't go straight out. You have to make a 90-degree turn and go out another way. Now, there was testimony that if you put a trailer on any type of a vehicle, you can't make that 90-degree turn. And the way this neighborhood has developed through the years, this alley has been there from the beginning, and there's neighbors, there's homes that live in this neighborhood, citizens of this community that own their homes, and they're located on the street, and the back of their house is on the alley. And if they have a garage, and the first 4 homes after the church all have garages on the alley. So their way of coming out of the garage is on the alley for ingress and egress. Now, what we would just ask for your consideration, everyone here agrees on child safety. I mean, do I agree to child safety? Yes, I do. Do my clients, and I represent several of the neighbors here who have testified, do they believe in child safety? Yes, they do. Now, I would just put forth for your consideration, are there alternatives where a neighborhood and the residents of that neighborhood and a church can live together by taking maybe alternative action to closing a public right-of-way for ingress and egress for the benefit of a private corporation to the detriment of the neighbors in the neighborhood, the citizens who use and rely upon a public alley for ingress and egress? Are there alternatives? Well, let's think about that a moment. You've got an alley that's been there from the beginning. If you go and look at the alley behind the church, where the church elected to build their playground on the other side of the alley, when in fact they've got 2 vacant lots right beside the church. If you look at that alley, is there any signage, school zone, children at play? Is there any flashing light to, other schools have it, no lighting, no signs, speed limit. Can you post speed limit signs in the school zone? Has that ever been done before? Well, every other school in the county has it on this alley that's been there for years behind this church. There's been no initiative to fence in the playground. There's been no signs, no flashing lights, no speed limits. And then there's the white elephant in the room. And the white elephant in the room is if you look at this map, you see on this map, you see the church building on the church lot. It is that 1583, I can't really make it out, but the parcel that the building is on, if you notice going due west, there's two other unimproved lots right beside it that don't go across the alley. They've got two lots sitting there with nothing on them. Well, on the picture, there's several cars on the vacant lot right next to the church that the church owned. But there's a larger lot right along the street that's unimproved. It's just sitting there. So wouldn't a reasonable alternative, if everybody is concerned about child safety, why in the world would you build a playground on the other side of a public alley where you know people are using it instead of putting it on one of the unimproved lots and then put a fence around the playground? Isn't that a reasonable alternative to protecting your kids, where the kids do not have to cross an alley? You use that lot on the other side of the alley for parking. On the PVA map, that lot is striped for parking, and then they put in a little playground across the alley. Move the playground. Don't move the church. The church is a good neighbor. The church is a good citizen of this county and should be supported. But they have to make reasonable decisions if they're going to be growing and taking care of kids, to put the kids out of harm's way. And who has control to do that? They do. And they hadn't done it. So I would encourage the church, and I think the church is a wonderful citizen of this county, but take measures within your control to protect your students. You should do that. And don't take away from your neighbors by appropriating a public alley that people use for ingress and egress. And in that alley, if you move the playground where the children are now safe, and that extra lot on the other side of the alley is used for parking, you could put up signage, you could put up a light, you could put up a speed limit sign to alert the public that a school is there and that a church is there, like everyone else does in the county. Now, it's awkward to stand up here and argue against a church. I go to church. I'm on the church boards, and I support churches and what they stand for. But I also support citizens who live in a neighborhood who has a right to use the public streets and the public alleys. Now, what we're talking about, bottom line here, is taking public property that's being used for ingress and egress by the citizens of this city and giving it to a private, not-for-profit corporation, to the detriment of the citizens, but for the benefit of a church. Now, there's different ways to look at that, but I'm here speaking on behalf of the citizens of that neighborhood who have a vested interest, who have come before this board and who have testified that they can't make the 90-degree turn if they have a trailer on their vehicle. And one of the neighbors that's right next door, who used to adjoin it, she's a golfer. She has a golf cart and a cart in her garage. The person right down from her who testified the last time that we were here, Nick and Ashley McClure, they have a business, and they have a pickup truck, and they have a trailer, and they go straight in and out on that alley for ingress and egress regularly. And they can't make the 90-degree turn. Now, that's why y'all denied it the last time here, is because you're, by allowing the church to appropriate the property, you're creating a hardship on the people that live there, who have relied upon that alley and who have built structures on the alley so they could go in and out. And also, our last hearing, Mark Carter, who's done a wonderful job at this church. He's done a wonderful job. The last 26 years that they've been there, no incidents on anyone getting hurt on that alley. None. Now, what we've heard tonight are what ifs. Well, what if this? Now, it didn't happen, but what if this? And what if that? Now, if you can argue by using what ifs, then you need no substance to your argument. Well, what if guns? And what, we know this is a dangerous world. We know that. You can come off the main street and go through the parking lot where you get out in front of the front door of the church and go right into the alley if someone wanted to get into the alley in their vehicle. There's other ways to get into the alley than along the alley. So I'm just asking for the exercise of your discretion to allow the residents of the neighborhood to be able to utilize a public alley that they use for ingress and egress and not give it away to a private entity. And that's what's being asked for. So we ask for your discretion, we're asked for your consideration, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions for this gentleman? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I would like to say that,
Excuse me, sir.
Excuse me.
Please come to the mic.
yes, my name is Bill Roberts.
Before we go get into the back and forth, this gentleman in the corner hasn't had a chance to speak. Your name, sir?
Michael Patterson,
Address?
8460 State Route 351 East.
And you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I have a daughter who's a graduate, also works there, and I got a 6-year-old that does work there. And I know I'm not a city resident, but I have devoted 23 years of my life to working for this city. And not to start any argument or anything like that, but this past Friday, I saw Public Works come by. I'm not sure who may have the video or who may not have the video, but it was being videoed that Public Works did bring a trailer, 16-foot trailer, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure what, an 18, with a full-size utility truck. And without even using that 5-foot extension that the church has given to be able to add gravel and make a wider turn that they need be, that Public Works truck was able to go from either direction, pulling a 16 or 18-foot trailer. And then just to prove it, he stopped and even backed around the curve to show that it's not too tight a turn to make by any means. He had several feet both sides of the trailer when he did that. I believe it was Steve Gibson. I'm not 100% sure if he was the guy in the truck, but I did see him there, and they do have video of it because I seen him video it. So just for that sake of the argument, I wanted to make you guys aware that there is footage there that it's not that tight an alley. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to address this, sir? Your name?
Doug Boone, 222 First Street.
Promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I did.
Thank you for your help.
Yes, I did videotape it. I taped it Friday. And before I got there, he had said that they drove the truck with the trailer. It's actually a 19.5 foot long trailer, 20-foot truck. And I had them, if you want to pull the video up personally, I videotaped it from the church side, coming from Garfield and going up Maple, and then vice versa. Inside and the outside of the turning.
Hey, Brian, before you start that, can I ask, Doug, when you're going through this, could you just point out to us where the legal property corners are, if you know, just so we have that as a point of reference?
Well, I know this fence is got a chamfer to it, so it does allow vehicles going in and out.
Okay.
When they access this road, or the drive, they're on the gravel the whole time. So then this will be coming from the Garfield side. I'm on the inside of the radius.
Does it still appear to be running some of the
Well,
yards?
that was prior to them even starting when I videotaped. They must have did that before. This is on the inside of the race by the fence. And he's coming from Garfield. He's having to step out of the way. The last one is basically, I'm on the other side of this. And it's coming off of Maple Street, so. So that's what I took.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Just to clarify something for me, if that fence were not chamfered, if it went out to the property corner, would that trailer have been able to make that turn?
I'm sure you could have, yeah.
Other questions? Thank you, sir.
Well, Bobby, let's back up. Bobby had mentioned for the first video that you provided, that truck.
He backed up.
Huh?
They said that he had backed up before I got there.
Okay. But he had actually went over into that same area with that.
Oh, you see where it rolled off in the grass a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know if that first hit that did that.
The first video showed it going out into the grass. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm not
Oh,
gonna-
but yeah, I noticed it too, when I took the video.
But what I like about that, no, that does show that you can make that turn. We've been told you could not make that turn, but you can make that turn on that alley. So we got video proof.
Any other questions for the gentleman? Very good, thank you, sir.
I have something that might be pertinent.
Yes, sir.
My name's Steve Davis with the City Codes Department.
Tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but
I
the
do,
truth, sir?
1990 Barrett.
Okay, thanks.
Should be. After the first time we met, I think Mr. Nick McClure had mentioned that he had a business that he ran out of his house where he required his trailer. As being in codes, we do require that each business be verified through a business verification form, residential business verification. So we sent him a residential business verification form. He did call back and say he does not really have a business. Well, he never did fill out the form. We did receive a phone call from someone requesting information on that. That was not Mr. McClure, but I feel like I need to tell you guys that as well. Okay?
Thank you. Any questions for this gentleman? Very good. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Tasha Fisher, 6282 Marlin Lane, Henderson, Kentucky, 42130.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, ma'am?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm a mother of two 6-year-olds that go to the school. Obviously, you've already heard everybody's argument, and I agree with everything. I just wanted to point out on the video, because this gentleman had mentioned all the garages on the alleyway. The video clearly shows all the garages facing the alleyway, and that they can easily access the roads where the truck was going out with the trailer, and they can get in and out of the garages easily on this as well. And also, just to point out, you know, there are rules and there are laws. Speed limits, signs are there for a reason, but I know multiple people, myself included, have had speeding tickets. So just saying that even though a sign is put out, yes, we should put out signs, and I totally agree with that, and flashing lights, and hey, this is a school, just to make sure that everybody is aware. But not everybody follows those signs. Like I said, everybody gets speeding tickets, or a lot of people do. So just because the sign's there doesn't mean that it's going to be abided by. And also, this day and age, a lot of people have cell phones, people get distracted. Even if you have a sign out that had, like I know there was one in Owensboro, it goes from like 70 to 55. If you are on your phone, which again is illegal, if you don't see that 55-mile-an-hour sign, you're going 70, you're going to get a speeding ticket. So if you miss that 35 to 25 or whatever it gets changed to for the school sign, then you could still be speeding through there. Just a point.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I think maybe I was misunderstood earlier. When my son brought his truck and trailer in, he did not do that because he couldn't make that curve. He did it because that's how he was coming down. And so I just want to make sure everybody realized that my son did not, it wasn't that he couldn't make the curve. He just came off of Maple Street and it went toward McKinley. And when he said that, well, I thought, wait a minute, I might have made y'all confused. So I want to make sure I clarified that.
Okay, thank you.
Brian,
Sir.
this is a alley closure, right? Not a consolidation.
If the alley
Well,
is,
please, let's get that figured out first.
so the applicant has requested that the alley be closed. They have indicated to us if that alley is closed, they will submit a consolidation plat, consolidating parcels on both sides of the alley.
And then once it's consolidated, are they allowed to use that property for whatever they seem, I mean, for any purpose? Can they build on it?
As long as it's not in any setback, I would believe so.
They would own it.
So it's going from a closure to an ownership. A closure to a consolidation to an ownership to be used however they see fit.
That's my understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Patty Morse. I live at 1519 Roosevelt Street.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I did actually talk with Brian too. I gave him a call earlier this week about that. And he advised when the alley is closed, it gets divided on whoever owns the property touching it. So if it does get closed, they will have ownership at that point, is how I took it.
Yes, that is correct. Teresa, you care to go back to that, the plat drawing?
Yeah, that'd be right. We can vote on both sides of it.
But Ms. Morris is correct. So if the church owns both sides of the alley, my understanding of the law is that they would retain both sides of that. So if you were to go further back up the alley and it was closed there, ownership would revert back to both sides, which my understanding is different ownership. So clear as mud. So for example, on the drawing provided, if that portion of the alley is closed, the church owns both sides of that portion of the alley.
Okay.
Is that, am I saying right?
Yes.
Okay.
So no one could bid on it or anything. They automatically just get the land for free.
Correct. That's my understanding.
Okay, they could like down at our city. Now that alley belonged to the city. We are closing that alley. The city requesting to close the alley. The church are. The alley belonged to the city. Now in the open. And
Yes,
so
an
we'll be
open
taking property away from the city. No.
Yeah, for the property, for the right-of-way to be extinguished, this is the process that we're going through, and once that's done, it is then dispersed to the property adjoiners.
Is this one of those alleys that nobody knows who really owns it, or does the city actually own it?
I would defer to Mr. Boone to that one, for that question.
This area is part of a large, I don't know the exact name of the subdivision, but it was all part, they were platted alleys.
Platted alleys, okay.
I just wanted to state that I do use the alley to come in and out of my garage. I do have a trailer too. He did a pretty good job making that turn, but as you can see in the video, he did come up on my land, and he did make it through the Garfield Way, and that is a problem that we run into when I do have that trailer. So, that's all I want to say.
Very good, thank you. Okay, would anyone else like to address this matter in any direction? Have questions? Would anybody like to come up and answer?
I would like to say.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir, thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
My name is Bill Robertson, 29 Maple Street. And he was addressing the part about the playground. Why isn't it over next to the church? When, as Mr. Carter was saying a while ago, and I actually started going to the church in 1994, and that's when they started the school. And at that time, we didn't own those two pieces of property. When we built that playground back there because that's the only place we had to put it. In the last few years, we have bought the property next to us, but that playground's been there since probably just maybe not too long after the school started. I don't, and I understand, you know, people want to go up and down that alley, but it's not that much further to go to Garfield. It's not that much further to go to Maple. And the one neighbor that does pull the trailer, he parks his trailer around front. He's got a carport next to his garage. He doesn't park the trailer under his carport next to his garage. He parks it around the front on Roosevelt Street. If you go down Roosevelt Street at any time during the day you'll see the neighbors on that side of the street. Most of them are parked out front. There's cars out front, up and down. He's got two vehicles and a trailer parked in the front, not in the back, next to his garage or anything. So he can, as it showed in the video, the garbage truck can make that. The city truck made that turn. He can come down from Maple Street, pull in his trailer, come down there, load up his lawnmowers, come around, go to Garfield. The city truck made that turn, garbage truck made that turn. He can make that turn also. Thank you.
Sir, do you live in the neighborhood?
Excuse me?
Do you live in the neighborhood?
I live on the very corner, right there on Maple Street, where, like I said, my neighbors are right there on that alley. The back of my property where I rent is on the back of the alley. My property goes to the back of the alley. Yes.
Do you utilize the alley?
I have in the past. Yes, I have.
Other questions for the gentleman? Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to add to this discussion? Perhaps respond to something that they've heard? Yes, sir. Your name?
My name is David Morris. My address is 1323 Hunts Point Way here in Henderson, Kentucky.
You promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
And I just say, I do use that alley for egress and in and out. I'm not a scholar. But I just hate to see you close it for all the reasons that have been given, and I understand the church. And I was a property owner next to the 1519. I'm a former owner of the property at 1523 Roosevelt Street. And when the church petitioned to do their additions and everything, we had no problems with that. We've always tried to get along with the church. But I think there's alternatives of what they could do. The one gentleman, I think, spoke to that they were planning on extending the church if they closed the alley. So they're going to be building across it. And that's what I've got out of what he had to say. But I just hate to see you close it. I think there's other alternatives the church could go to as far as moving the playground and everything else. I've been out there when the kids are playing, try to be very cautious, and we all want the kids to be safe, you know. There's no doubt about that. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, no, we don't ever intend to build across the alley. We would like to build on those two lots that he spoke of that's vacant, that face McKinley at some point. We would like to make that a more pleasant-looking place. We've tore down 4 dilapidated houses along through there, and we're trying to beautify that part of East End. But we would like to build at some point on those 2 lots right there between Roosevelt and McKinley, but across the alley, no. And then I just want to remind you that if we don't close this alley, we cannot consolidate our property. We have 2 storage buildings back there. We have to move them because according to city ordinance, that's not allowed. You can't have a storage building on your lot unless there's a main building there. And our main building is on the other side. So we would have to move them, and it would just, that's not where we need it. We need all the room we have over there for what we do. So closing the alley will help us to be able to consolidate. We just want to put our property together, and that's impossible if we're not allowed to close just the part of the alley, only the part that goes through the middle of our property. And that's all we wish to do. And we don't ever plan to build across it that I'm aware of. No.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions?
I have a question, but I don't know if there's anybody here that can answer the question. So say you're an entity that has a situation like this where there's children or anybody that has to cross traffic. Is there a governing body in the city you can request a temporary permit to allow you to build a gate that you close from the hours of X to Y and then open back up after that?
I think so. I've never heard of it. There was one time somebody tried to do it. And we make them open.
If it remains a public.
If it remains,
Public purpose.
Yeah.
but to allow to have safety for children, that would be another option.
That's totally different. Can't close the app.
Any other questions? Would anyone else like to add anything further? We appreciate the discussion this evening. If I could take a minute to see if there's something else they'd like to add.
Has there ever been an alley closure? When's the last time that this has ever been brought up? Is this a situation that's gonna open up a future ordeal, or when's the last time that we heard something and for what reason?
Going off memory without being able to document it, I believe the last alley closing we had was for Metzger's. It was a similar situation where they own both sides of the alley. Commissioner Hammer, without looking it up, my memory is that it was 2019, 2020.
That's what I was
-ish.
thinking.
Could I address that question?
Yes, sir, in a moment. Counselor, you have something you'd like to add? TJ?
I'd rather you address it.
Okay.
I was about to.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I appeared before this commission back several years ago on requesting a alley closure on the Metzger's property, Metzger's Bar. If you go out of the back door of Metzger's, you take one step out of the back door, you're in an old alley. That's in their parking lot. And that went the length of that block. The difference, and that was granted, no one came to this commission and said they were using the alley for ingress or egress. No one. And no one objected to closing the alley. And the one owner that the alley affected, there was a separate alley behind his lot. So that alley was closed several years ago along the back of Metzger's, with it not being used for ingress or egress by the public, or with no one objecting to closing the alley. So that answers your question, I hope.
Yeah, thank you. TJ, was there something you wanted to add?
No, that
was it, okay.
I remember the procedure.
Good. Anything else we'd like to bring forward?
Chairman, I've still got one question about the one lot where the alley makes the 90-degree turn. The property owner that's allowed the fence to be skewed to allow the traffic to flow in and out of that alleyway. If that property owner comes out there and drives a post on his property line, can you make that turn with that truck and trailer? I mean, that was a question that was asked before the video.
But that fence has been like that for a reason. It was there for a reason like that.
That's not the question,
I don't know
though.
why, but I don't know why it was done that way.
But that's not the question. His question,
Yeah,
my
the question
question
is,
is,
yeah, they probably-
if they put a post at that corner, can you make that turn? Or are you?
Probably not,
Okay, that wasn't your answer before.
We need to stop there if you don't mind, because there's so many assumptions to be made that we can't really address from the plan commission or city engineering standpoint. One, the property pinned without it being marked by a licensed survey. Two, does the city have a certain right through an assumed easement?
Or access.
Access, what's the word? I'm losing the word. Prescribed easement.
Prescribed easement.
So I would caution us to go down that road, because there's so many variables we do not know.
Thank you.
But in the video, or maybe not this meeting, but the previous meeting, we showed the property lines. going parallel with the alley back to the corner of that piece of property.
Commissioner Johnson, give us 1 second to make sure we're at the right spot. Teresa down. Okay. Commissioner Johnson, are you referring, Teresa, would you move your hand? I'm sorry. You're referring to this property corner,
The
correct?
corner that he
Yeah.
videoed, the truck going around. If you click on the GPS property lines that we've got.
You cannot,
I understand that, but that's what we have to go off of.
that is not a GPS property pin. If we go and look at this, it's going to say how it's been drawn in.
Yeah.
So
You saw the surveyor's drawing handy?
that is not GPSed in the current map that we have, but we have the PDF
Right.
of that. And I just have to caution you, I love GIS very, very much, but it's out of 22,000 plus parcels, it's not always accurate. I have to give that disclaimer. So
I'm not saying that it is, I understand that. But we have to assume that it's really, really close.
in certain cases, I have to caution you.
Well, we talking about an alley. An alley that the city of Henderson maintain. Now, how much of that alley they maintain, how wide? See, we getting into stuff like that. We are talking about an alley and not even pertaining to what we brought up to us. And, so,
Commissioner, I'm not trying to be combative at all, but my only statement is from a Plan Commission GIS operator is, we are not going to verify the location of those alleys and those property lines because we are not licensed surveyors.
I understand that.
Oh, sorry. That being said, sorry.
Well, okay, but on the survey, the alley is 15 feet wide, so somewhere in there is a 15-foot wide alley legally.
Correct.
And someone could come in and, on the other three corners, and obstruct the ability to make that turn.
Again, Commissioner, I would caution you because the city could also come in and make a claim for a prescribed easement. There's just too many variables.
Okay.
We can't, as a body, assume that that property owner could not put up a post and make a square corner, as well as we can't assume that he can. I can give you examples both ways. Brian's given you one that the city may have a prescriptive easement by using it, but the other one is that that property owner and the previous property owners have given permission, and you can't get a prescriptive or adverse possession if you have permission to use the property. We don't know. So you can assume either way. You can assume that you could straighten out those fences, and you can assume that the city might have a prescriptive easement. We don't know.
Other questions?
But you can
from-
assume one way just as easy as you can the other way.
Other questions from the commission? Would anyone else like to address this matter in some fashion? I think we've had a good long time to think about it. If there is no further comment, I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak as much as they'd like. I'll entertain a motion in regard to this alleyway closure request submitted by Christian Life Church. Our task here tonight, while we're thinking about it, is to make a recommendation to the city commission, one way or the other. The city commission will be taking final action, correct?
Yes, correct.
We're gathering information for them and giving them our best advice. Then they do the actual deciding. pleasure of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer a motion to recommend to the City of Henderson to deny the alley closure request submitted by Mark S. Carter of the Christian Life Church to vacate a public alleyway located between Garfield Avenue and Roosevelt Street in the City of Henderson.
Second. We have a motion and a second. The motion is to recommend denying the request to close the alley. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any further discussion by the commission? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Kevin Richard,
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett,
Yes.
Mac Arnold,
Heather, hold on one second, please. Teresa, we need to make sure that screen is up so everybody can see it, please. Hit the green button.
that one.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, Heather.
XR Royster,
Yes.
Dickie Johnson,
Yes.
Gary Gibson,
No.
Doug Bell,
Yes.
Stacy Denton,
Yes.
Kevin Herron,
No.
Gray Hodge,
Yes.
Frank Boyette,
Commissioner Boyette still with us?
He does not appear to be on.
Is that everyone?
it is.
I've got 7-3 in favor of the motion to recommend denying alley closure. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you all very much. I'll entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? Yes. Thank you. Thank you, folks. We need to go back and
Finance.
we gotta go back to administrative business.
We gotta do the finance.
Finance.
Yeah. Okay. Let's deal with the March finance report, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The March 2023 finance report, we're at 77% of budget, and we have 3 months left to go, and just need approval, please.
Move to approve finance report.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Finance report has passed. I think the next item is under administrative business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. You may remember at our last meeting, the Plan Commission directed staff to come back with findings of fact for rezoning 1141. We have done that, and we have provided that to you. You should see it on your desk in front of you, and I'll do my best to answer any questions about that that you may have.
Questions for staff?
That's in front of us.
It's in your packet. at the very bottom.
I'm sorry, I thought we put it out too. I kept it out because
It's the very last thing.
So do we need to read this into the record?
Because it was distributed, you could move to adopt it as recommended and as presented. But it's fine to read it. or read parts of it.
Well, I'll entertain a motion in regard to the rezoning 1141 findings of fact as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of fact that has been distributed to the planning commission in written form.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Would you amend your motion to say motion and findings of fact? We shorthandedly call them findings of fact, but it's
Yes.
also a motion. All right. Well, second.
Amended the motion.
Second motion.
Second amended. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Gary Hodge,
Yes.
Kevin Herron,
Yes.
Stacy Denton.
Yes.
Doug Bell.
Yes.
Gary Gibson.
Yes.
Dickie Johnson.
Yes.
XR Royster. Mac Arnold.
Yes.
Bobby Jarrett.
Yes.
Kevin Richard.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. We do have some other business, Mr. Bishop, meeting coming up again real quick.
Yes, sir. I'd like to remind the commission that we have a special call meeting on April 12th at 6 PM. We will hold that meeting in the fiscal courtroom, third floor. We are doing that because we anticipate a large crowd. We will be able to live stream via the fiscal court's Facebook page. So similar setup as this. It's going to be a little different, but fiscal courtroom to accommodate a possibly larger crowd. This will be for the rezoning for the property located behind Walmart in between the Walmart structure and Balmoral subdivision.
And that'd be the only item on the agenda.
That is correct.
Anyone have anything else they'd like to bring before us for good of the cause?
Excuse me, I can't remember your name.
Jeremy Smith?
Jeremy, thank you for your patience to waiting through all these proceedings for 30 seconds of action. So.
Glad to be here.
If we have nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Thanks.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Very good, we stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good to see you.